What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 10 of the Commissioner's Office podcast. My name is Daniel, and today we have an absolute banger of an episode, albeit a little random, but we got a good one for you today. So, this past February marked the 10th Super Bowl that I have ever watched live in my life, which is it's a pretty big occasion, and I'm going to celebrate that by doing a tier list of every Super Bowl that I've ever watched. So if you don't know how a tier list works, is that there are 5 categories, or I guess there can be more than 5, but there are 5 categories of tiers that you rank certain things in. So the 5 tiers that I'm going to have for this tier list are trash at the bottom. These are the worst of the worst Super Bowls. Not very good, so not garbage, but not great. Meh. Basically just average, pretty good, self-explanatory, and S tier. These games were great in the eyes of me. That being said, how am I going to be ranking these Super Bowls? I have 2 major factors that contribute to my rankings for these Super Bowls. The first one is going to be what team I wanted to win. And, I know there are a lot of salty Bears fans who are like, Daniel, the Bears were not in the Super Bowl in the last 10 years, so how could you be rooting for anyone? Well, to that I say human nature. It's I just always subconsciously pick someone that I want to win, and you guys do too, everyone does, so just lay off. So if my team won, they might get a little bit higher of a tier than usual, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of dropped that a little bit, and I just kind of want a good game. However, the other piece of information that I rank these games on is the actual game itself. How good were these games? Were they close? Were they high scoring? Did they have a lot of turnovers? I think that's very important in watching a Super Bowl. So, with that being said, let's just get into it. All right, so the first Super Bowl I ever watched was Super Bowl 46. For those who don't know, this was the second Giants-Patriots one. The Giants won this one. I don't remember the score, but it was very close. It was a very close game. And I remember sitting in my living room and crying because the Patriots did not win. And yes, I was a bandwagon Patriots fan, but it was only because I thought their logo was really cool. So that, that takes a little bit of a hit. That being said, Eli Manning did take another Super Bowl away from Tom Brady, so that gets some points. As far as the game itself, it was a pretty good game. It was pretty close. Tom Brady had a chance to win on the Hail Mary that almost was caught by Gronkowski in the end zone. That did not happen. But that being said, where am I going to put it? I'm putting it in the meh tier. It is average for me. Again, the team that I wanted to win didn't exactly win, but as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate Eli Manning for this. It's average for me because I really don't remember watching the entire game, but I've seen the highlights of it since, and I kind of have started to remember it a little bit more. And I think it's meh. Some people might see it as a better game. I think it's okay, but not great. All right, we'll move on now to Super Bowl 47. This one was 49ers versus Ravens. This one was a memorable one. For the second year in a row, the team I wanted to win did not win. I wanted Colin Kaepernick and the Niners to win this one. It was a great story. He was filling in for Alex Smith. But, back to the actual game itself, Joe Flacco just went insane. It was a really close game. The age-old debate of whether there was a PI on the final play with Michael Crabtree. The Ravens' defense was just so good in that game. The Niners made that great comeback after the notorious event that I will go over in a second. That being said, where do I rank it? Um, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I'm going to put it in the pretty good category. This was a really good game. It was really memorable. It was it was, again, the second Super Bowl that I remember. And obviously, there was the power outage, which sparked so many NFL conspiracy theories that, I have along with the rest of the fan base. If you guys want an NFL conspiracy theory episode, I will give it to you. So let me know if you guys want that in the future. But yeah, the power outage was really memorable. And then, of course, you had that comeback after with Colin Kaepernick and Frank Gore, and Anquan Bolden was on, I think he was on the Niners. But then you had Jacoby Jones with those 2 touchdowns. You had the kick return, the kick return beginning of the second half. It was a really good game. So I put it in the pretty good category. Not exactly S tier for me, but pretty good. All right, we're going to move on now to Super Bowl 48. I remember watching this one, and I was very, 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 very sad. This was Seahawks and Broncos, another team. I wanted the Broncos to win. They did not. Another game where the team I wanted to win did not win. This was the year Peyton Manning had his record-breaking seasons in 2013, I believe. Broke the record for the amount of touchdowns in a season through 55, beating Brady's record from 2007, I believe. And they met with the Seahawks in Super Bowl 48 in New Jersey. I don't remember a Super Bowl being played in New York up until then. It was really cold. It was kind of a bad venue for a Super Bowl. Usually they're played in warm climates or domed stadiums. But this might be a pretty obvious ranking. This Super Bowl was garbage. It's going in the trash tier. I think 43-8 was the final score. Seahawks won. In hindsight, I'm glad that Russell Wilson got his ring because it doesn't look like he's going to get one ever again. But this game sucked. It was so bad. Game started off with a snap over the head of Peyton Manning into the end zone for a safety, and then the Seahawks just lit the Broncos on fire the rest of the game. I'm pretty sure I stopped watching after the first half. It was just really bad. It was not close the entire game. Besides, the Broncos didn't win, which is horrible in my little elementary school brain at the time. So Super Bowl 48 is in the trash tier. Now we move on to Super Bowl 49. This game was pretty good. At this time, I was still a bandwagon Patriots fan for literally no reason at this point because I was above the age to where I only cared about the logos of the teams. This was Patriots Seahawks, for those who don't count the Roman numerals. This was a really good game. You had the Seahawks with that 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and then you had Brady come back and tie the game up. Then you had that final drive with Seattle with that circus catch from Jermaine Kearse, which is constantly overshadowed by a play I'll mention in a second. I mean, that play was so crazy. It was like a 35-yard pass down the field. Jermaine Kearse bobbles the ball in his lap and then just catches it, then runs up and gets another 3 yards. But then, of course, the Seahawks decide to throw the ball on the 1-yard line with one of the best power backs in the modern NFL, and Marshawn Lynch. And of course, they get picked off by Malcolm Butler, ending their season. So, that being said, a team that I wanted to win technically won. Although after this season, I kind of didn't really like New England because this is when all of the Deflategate stuff was coming out. So I kind of dropped being a bandwagon and just stuck to being a Bears fan. That being said, this game is going to be in the pretty good tier. Again, this game, I think a lot of people would put it as S tier, but maybe the final play with the Malcolm Butler interception might put it back down to the pretty good tier. Some people see this as one of the best games of all time. I think there have been better, but for Super Bowls, it's definitely really good. So Super Bowl 49, Patriots v Seahawks goes in the pretty good tier, along with Super Bowl 47, Niners versus Ravens. Now we're going to move on to Super Bowl 50, Broncos Panthers. Oh, I thought this game was going to be so good. The Broncos ended up winning this one. I wanted I wanted the Panthers to win. I thought they were going to win. This was when the Panthers went 15-1, and Cam Newton had his outstanding MVP season and just steamrolled through the NFC in the playoffs. And then on the other side, you had the Broncos with Peyton Manning, who was kind of hobbled. He was struggling with injuries, barely eked out an AFC Championship win to go to the Super Bowl. I thought this game was going to be really good, and I thought the Panthers were going to win. Obviously, I was wrong. Broncos took this one. It was a bit of a low-scoring game. I can't exactly remember. I think it was like 20-14 or something like that. Von Miller was Super Bowl MVP. He just wreaked havoc on Cam the whole game. That being said, it was a close game. I'm going to put it in the not very good tier. It's not trash. It's not trash, but it was not very good. It was a close game, and it was very tense. But this one just wasn't as much offense as I would have hoped for. Cam really got shut down. I really like the offensive games. I think the defensive games are boring, to be honest. There were a good amount of turnovers, but just not enough scoring really for me to like it. So Super Bowl 50 goes in the not very good tier. Now we're going to move on to Super Bowl 51. This is 28-3, Falcons, Patriots. This one was a very, very hard one for me to watch. By this time, I did not like the Patriots. I wanted Atlanta to win. I thought Atlanta was going to win because they're up 28-3 going into the fourth quarter, but I was very angry with this game. That being said, it was a really, really good game. Obviously, you had a good amount of scoring. You had the Robert Alford pick six off Brady. That was a great play. And then obviously that fourth quarter was just so good. Brady with all those really good drives, and Julian Edelman was just going insane. He had that insane catch catching the ball between the guy's hands. It was just ridiculous how good he was playing in that fourth quarter. And then obviously overtime. First Super Bowl to go into overtime. I think the only one to go into overtime. And then obviously you had the James White touchdown to win it for the Patriots. That being said, I overall don't have a very rosy image of this game, but I can't deny the greatness of 28-3. I'm going to put it in the pretty good tier. This was so painful to watch as someone who wanted the Falcons to win. There were just so many great plays in that game, and it was really close, a good amount of scoring. It was basically everything you could ask for if you were a Patriots fan. By the way, look up the Julio Jones catch in this game, late in the game. It was amazing. Julio Jones had a great game as well. All right, we're going to move on now to Super Bowl 52. This is Patriots versus Eagles this time. This game I loved watching. This was such a good game. Obviously, the Eagles shocked the world with Nick Foles, the greatest quarterback to ever play for the Chicago Bears. And he won Super Bowl MVP. They took down the Patriots. I think it was 43-38. It was a really weird score because I think there were some missed field goals or 2-pointers, missed extra points, something like that. So many great plays in this game. You actually had this one being played at US Bank Stadium, which is the fairly new home of the Vikings. It's a beautiful stadium. You had the Trey Burton touchdown throw to Nick Foles. That was just a great play. You had all of the turnovers in that game. You had the Derek Barnett strip sack on Tom Brady to pretty much seal that one up. And you just had some great plays in that game. Alshon Jeffrey had a touchdown, another former Bear. Then a great throw to Corey Clement from Foles. That was a touchdown. And then Brady just kept dragging him into the game, and it was really close, but, Nick Foles got the job done, and it was a good game. That being said, Super Bowl 52 is one of my favorite games of all time. It has the combination of a great game, suspense, high scoring, and the team that I really wanted to win won. That being said, Super Bowl 52 is S tier. A lot of people might not see. I'm not sure if a lot of people really like this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So Super Bowl 52, we have our first S tier. 3 more Super Bowls to go. Super Bowl 53, Patriots make their 3rd straight Super Bowl and play the Rams. This one, again, kind of like Super Bowl 50, I thought this game was going to be really good. You had New England, who just was not very good throughout the playoffs. They barely eked out a win versus Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship when Patrick Mahomes, that was his first year at the helm. That was when he won MVP. And then on the other side, you had the Rams, who, again, shouldn't have been in this game because of that horrible pass interference call in the NFC Championship against the Saints on Nickel Roby-Coleman that really cost them the game. But, still, I thought it was going to be a good game. Boy, was I wrong. New England won this one 13-3. I remember that one. Only touchdown was like a 1-yard Sony Michel rush. It was just a terrible game. This Super Bowl is trash. It might honestly be worse than Super Bowl 48, where the Seahawks blew out the Broncos. It might be worse. This game was just so terrible. Julian Edelman, I think, was Super Bowl MVP. And, he played a great game. Also, I don't care about Julian Edelman. I don't really care about anyone on that Patriots team. The team I wanted to win did not win. And it was a bad game. It's a, bad combination. This game was garbage. It was just really, it was close, I guess. But there was just no action, no scoring. And New England won, which no one wanted them to win. All right, we are down to our second to last Super Bowl. And this one is Super Bowl 54, Chiefs versus 49ers. This was a really good game. I have a special connection to the Chiefs. I'm not a bandwagon. My grandparents are from there, so I really wanted the Chiefs to win. This is the first time they won a Super Bowl in 50 years. And they were playing the 49ers. I knew it was going to be a good game, or at least I thought it was going to be a good game, and I was right. You had a good amount of turnovers in this game. It was really close. Chiefs kind of started to pull away at the end, so the last few minutes weren't too entertaining, but it was a good game. It was a really, really solid Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was the Super Bowl MVP. I remember that. He absolutely robbed it from Damian Williams. It should have been Damian Williams without a doubt. That's just my personal opinion. Now he's a Bear, so maybe he'll bring that Super Bowl experience to the Bears. But overall, this was a good game. What tier am I going to put it in? Maybe a little bit of a surprise considering my past rankings. Pretty good. This one was pretty good. Not S tier. It was, I don't know, the Super Bowl 52, Eagles-Patriots was just so much more high octane and entertaining. This one was close, but it didn't quite have enough scoring for me. But, with that being said, it was still a fantastic Super Bowl. And obviously pleased that Patrick Mahomes gets his ring. Super Bowl 54 goes in the pretty good tier. The final Super Bowl that we are going to rank is Chiefs Buccaneers. This Super Bowl was it was a tough one, man. I really didn't even want either of these teams to be in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, again, I know I'm a Chiefs fan, sort of, but I'd rather see someone else come out of the AFC. I wanted to see the Bills win, but I guess I didn't really mind the Chiefs winning that much. And then on the NFC side, oh man, I didn't even think the Buccaneers would make it to the championship. I really didn't know how Brady was going to do this season. Obviously, he's Tom Brady. He's best quarterback of all time. He's going to lead his team to the playoffs. I wonder what would have happened if Taylor Heineke beat him in the I think wild card round for the football team. The football team came dangerously close to beating Tom Brady, which I would have laughed so hard if that happened. Of course, it didn't. Patriots. The Buccaneers steamroll the Saints in the divisional round, and then the Packers just implode again in the championship game. I called it, man. I called it, even though Aaron Rodgers had an MVP season, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is the year. This is the year they finally get past the NFC Championship game when they're favored to win and finally get to a Super Bowl." And I'm like, "Man, this has happened like 3 times now. Packers go into the championship heavily favored to win and just get steamrolled. This happened with the Falcons. This happened with the 49ers. It happens way too often. Maybe that's why Aaron Rodgers is going to retire instead of staying with Green Bay." But nonetheless, yeah, the Buccaneers advance out of the the NFC, and then the Chiefs come out of the AFC. This game, I'm gonna put in the not very good tier. It was a blowout. Patrick Mahomes could literally do nothing because his 2 tackles left on the left side, Eric Fisher, and then on the right side, Mitchell Schwartz, weren't playing, and he was just running for his life the entire time. I mean, we saw Patrick Mahomes push to his limits in ways that I have never seen before. We saw him, being like parallel to the ground and like throwing the ball like 45 yards down the field. Like, it was ridiculous what his line was making him do. And, it was just no scoring. We didn't see the Chiefs get anything done. The Buccaneers, were just kind of chugging along, doing some stuff, it just, and then of course Brady gets another ring, which I could care less about. I want to see this guy retire. Give the reins over to Kyle Trask. Just leave, please. So that being said, Super Bowl 55, 49ers v Chiefs goes in the not very good tier. So when we look at this list, I think overall it's a good thing for the NFL. You got one really, really good game in Super Bowl 52. Of the last 10, you got 4 that are pretty good, 1 that's meh, and then 2 that are not great, and then 2 that are trash. There's going to be some games that are bad, some games that are good, but I think overall we've had some pretty good Super Bowls. That's the thing with Super Bowls, is that it's the Super Bowl. It's the greatest spectacle in sports, as I'm pretty sure Madden puts it. So that is going to conclude this episode of the Commissioner's Office podcast. It's a little bit of a shorter episode, but we're kind of in the dog days of the off season, and we don't really have much to do. Oh well, other than the Bears taking a quarterback. So yay, Justin Fields, the savior of the Bears. But anyway, if you liked the content that I'm putting out, then check us out. We're on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. Leave a review if you have an opinion on our content. If you know me personally and have recommendations for a future episode, NFL conspiracy theories, as I mentioned, then you know where to find me. And I'm always open to new content, especially during the summer when there's not a lot of stuff going on. But with that being said, I'm signing off. See you later, everyone.